Graham Ball, hello.
Hi, how's it
Steve
going?
Lubbehusen, hello.
Good morning.
Welcome to Johnny Breakfast. See the show about men's breakfast and the evangelical charm of inviting men in the community, friends, neighbors, relatives, to eat in the house of the Lord. You two fellows are members of Westview Alliance Church, correct?
Yep.
That is
And
true.
Steve is my friend for the last 2.5 years. I know Graham Ball from the men's breakfast you all had a month ago. But Steve, like 2 months ago, said, "Hey Joe, I know you're interested in men's breakfast. Come to our men's breakfast. We're having a men's breakfast." Graham here is you are the associate pastor at Westview Alliance Church.
Yep.
But you were not in charge of the men's breakfast, though, were you? Or were you?
Um, kind of, yeah, it was all hands on deck. I technically was the one overseeing it, but I love to share the experience.
And either of you can tell me what when you first had the idea, when the idea first arose to have a men's breakfast in conjunction with what week did you have a month ago?
Yeah, so that was our missions conference. So the denomination we're a part of is really big in international missions, and occasionally we'll have a missionary on furlough, which means they're stateside, they're touching base with their home churches, and Westview has historically taken advantage of missionary being in town and spending time with them. So men's breakfast is a big part of how we gain access to relationship with missionary for the men's side of it, and then if there's a female, they do a women's tea for the women's side of it. So it's a pretty cool meld of let's just sit down and make sure we're spending a good amount of time with with the missionary that's home.
Excuse me, I don't spend much time on Illinois Road. Westview Alliance Church is on Illinois Road in Ft.Wayne, Indiana, and Illinois Road. Yeah, I know that you have people coming to your church from parts unknown, but generally, what neighborhoods do you serve at Westview?
Yeah, do you want to speak
It's a
to that, Steve?
mix. It's a mix of all over. Southwest. We've got a lot of people that live out southwest. We've got some people that live Roanoke area. We've got people that live South Fort Wayne. We've got some North Fort Wayne people. We've got a good mix of people that live all over the city. Some out towards Leo and Central Fort Wayne. We've got a nice sized little small church but we get people from all over Fort Wayne and some that even live on the outskirts of Fort Wayne.
I didn't get a chance. I had something else that morning, so I ate breakfast with you all and then had to depart right before the speaker spoke. The speaker, are you at liberty to say his name?
Tim
Well,
Westergren. Tim Westergren.
Tim Wester what?
Westergren.
Westergrim.
Gren. Westergren.
Westergren. And
Yes.
where does he serve?
He serves in northern Spain. And so he came and talked to us about how our church planting in northern Spain, up in the mountains area, and how that's really grown, and that's really been on his heart for decades. And then it's starting to finally take fruit because they're having missionaries being sent from other parts of the world that are missionary, um, this denomination, but they're coming from other countries to Spain to start churches, not just from
And
the U.S.
and his last name is Westergren. What is his first name again?
Tim.
Tim. Did had you ever met Tim before?
Yes, he'd been in our church years back when he was on furlough and doing a tour around the Midwest and everything. But yeah, he actually said he remembered me, which was surprising. But I've been there for quite a few decades, and so
And
we've seen quite a few missionaries come through.
so Tim was Tim a member of Westview Church or not?
No, I don't believe he was.
Yeah. So you didn't
Not a
send him
local.
out as a church,
We did not.
but you have assisted him and been part of his network.
Yes.
Uh, Boy, I missed out on that. Graham, you had never met Tim, had you?
No, it was my first time. Yeah, breakfast was the first time I had interacted with him. So yeah, it was
And
a sweet
when
time.
is the last time you had a men's breakfast there at Westview Alliance?
It was probably end of summer or even in the early fall. We were doing a bit of a discipleship series there with the men for a little bit.
And what was the impetus for the men's breakfast? In other words, men's breakfast is an unusual animal. You're getting you're getting up a relatively early hour on a Saturday morning, and
Hmm.
you're coming to church for breakfast. Someone is cooking it, someone is preparing it. What makes a men's breakfast opportune for the missionary, for example, as opposed to, I don't know, what would be a different meeting that you could have, a general assembly, or what would be or a dinner? What is the charm of a men's breakfast? I guess in the fall. Tell me again the fall event that you were sponsoring or trying to promote.
Yeah, so we were working through some Sun Life curriculum, which is walking through questions of how do we disciple like Jesus discipled. So he first invites people to come and see. He invites people to follow him. Uh, he has this call that if you follow me, you'll be making fishers of men. And then like the end stage, we call it like the sage, the rocking chair grandpa who's just soaking in wisdom because he's lived it and done it and breathed it. Where just discipleship is just who he is. So we were walking through that pathway with our men. Um, and I don't know. I just breakfast seems like the default gathering for men in my history. And Steve, you can speak to that question too. It
Yeah,
just seems like
that's
a magnet that is helpful to get men in the room.
I, I'm going to ask both of you about your men's breakfast histories. Graham, growing up, do you remember going to a men's breakfast? You didn't because you weren't in the church growing up, correct?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not until my time here at Westview, I would often do discipleship gatherings in the morning over coffee or in the morning over over breakfast at like a McDonald's or something before people are going into work.
mhm.
So some of that DNA was just kind of built in already, but not necessarily an organized event like we're doing at Westview.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Jesus shows up at McDonald's. He might. He probably does. I'm sure he does. But there's a charm to the church, I find, but there's more work to it. You can show up at McDonald's, you don't have to do the prep. And so there's a charm to that, but there's a charm to the church because and so for the getting back to this event a month ago for the missionary promoting and hearing about his work, did either of you gentlemen, and there's no wrong answer here, well, I guess Steve, you invited a non-Westview person to the event, but that was kind of an exception. Graham, did you invite would there have been any reason for you to invite a friend or neighbor or non-Westview person? There wouldn't have been a particular reason to, would there have been?
The main thing is breakfast, and getting to know more people and get to know more guys. And so that for me, that's just a natural of people that I work with, uh, people that you spend time with, that you golf with, that you do whatever, and you just build fellowship with them. And breakfast for me is probably the easiest way to do that because I eat breakfast every day, and I love it's probably my favorite meal. I could eat
Wait,
breakfast for lunch and
Steve,
for dinner, but yeah,
did
I
you
did.
invite anyone besides me to
I
that?
did. Yes. Yeah.
Did
I
anyone
have
else come?
yeah, Kevin, one of the custodians that I work with out at Carroll High School, he's been to two or three of our breakfasts. And he really, when I see him in the hallway and before school day, he's doing his job and cleaning up. And so we always have little partial discussions and, and things around that. And he's always asking, hey, when's the next men's breakfast and when's the next time? And so I make sure that I invite him whenever I can.
Did you invite anyone for that particular event that you had not invited before?
I had not. I
Okay.
knew that you loved breakfast and you had invited me to a breakfast, and so I wanted to return the favor and I want to make sure we keep Kevin in the loop as well. So
Well, it's not now I know some of Illinois Road better. I'm dead serious because a Saturday or two ago I went to the Sunrise men's breakfast, 2 feet from you all, 2 feet
right across the street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I had a familiarity and there was a bit of community. I felt 2% more ownership in it than I would have if I had not been at your church. Graham, dumb question, did you invite anyone to that event a month ago? Or is it, and I know you're an associate pastor, so it's kind of a three-headed thing, but did you feel like it was a thing that you invited? I don't know who you would invite. Neighbors? Who would you invite to a men's breakfast?
Yeah, so for this one, it was just for me, it was just people in the church.
Yeah, yeah.
But men's breakfast is a really easy on ramp into, hey, if someone isn't necessarily going to join on a Sunday morning, they may join for fellowship over a meal.
Yes.
And I find that with neighbors often too. It's funny when once they figure out I'm a pastor, there's some apprehension to engage in relationship. But yeah, so people when I talk to them, if they didn't grow up in the church or if they don't have a background, they may not come to a Sunday morning gathering, but they might come for dinner over my kitchen table, or a men's breakfast could be an easier ask as well. Um, so it's a good environment to see neighbors.
My go-to men's breakfast is at Lifehouse Church. I invited many several. I've had someone asked I work at Home Depot, and Christian, a young fellow, he's in high school. I invited him, and I've known him for months. And I said, Christian, come to the men's breakfast. And he expressed 2% more interest than I expected. And he showed up this morning and he said, how many people, good questions. He said, how many people from here, have you invited people from here and have they come? And I said, yeah, two colleagues and two customers, including Steve. And so it was so cool today. It was gratifying that he showed up because I waited outside and was hoping someone would come, and they didn't come, and that was fine. I went in, and then it was 5 or 8 minutes later after we started, and here comes Christian, and that was such a blessing. And I didn't say this to Christian. I want Christian to know that I'm inviting him, of course, but I'm inviting probably the men in his networks that I will never meet, never know ever. But he knows, and I'm trying to reach them effectively, and he's the only person that can reach them. And so now he's familiar. I hope he's having a good time or had a good time at the Lifehouse. So my question, Graham, to you is, what prevents Westview Alliance Church from having a more regular men's breakfast? And I'm guessing it's manpower. You probably, by the look of it the other day, there was several men, but maybe not enough firepower to have a monthly men's breakfast.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of priority. So yeah, what are the eggs that we're going to put in the basket, to use the breakfast theme? So yeah, I think we're asking questions of discipleship and what are the avenues that we're hoping to run after in those spaces. So we're going to have coming up, we're going to do a Sunday gathering. It's not gender specific, but it's we're going to break off into we're going to do the gathering together as male and female, and then we're going to break off into separate discipleship groups. So for this season, we're going to be putting energy into that.
Graham Boll, you've been a wonderful guest, as have you, Steve Lubbehusen, on Johnny Breakfast Seed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.